Hey y'all, I'm Shelly B, a conservative Black sister surviving in a hot mess world. And today's hot mess is a woman was murdered on a conjugal visit with her husband for the second time at this particular prison. And I wanted to unpack today, why do women marry men that are in prison? Okay. But before we get into that, can you please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel? I would really appreciate it to help the algorithm. Like, share, subscribe, leave comments, whatever you want to do. Please, just share this video with somebody that you feel could benefit from the information that I have to give. Share my channel. There's lots of videos on there, lots of information that I painstakingly took the time to put together for everyone because I just want everybody to elevate their frequency. And this right here, you definitely, if you're going down this road, you need to really think twice and elevate your frequency to where you feel that you deserve better than a dude in prison. All right, we're going to get right into this right away because I have somewhere to go later, so I'm dressed up for that. But I had to come on here because this just really disturbed me, that women, I feel there's low self-esteem and then there's no self-esteem. And I really feel that you really have to have like no self-esteem to feel that the best you deserve is a man in prison that ain't never getting out. The guy that killed her murdered 4 people in one night that were innocent people. He murdered them. And why on God's green earth would you want to, be entangled with somebody like that? I don't understand. So we have to unpack this because I had to come on here before I left because I just did not, listen, this is a mess. I couldn't even believe that this happened. Listen, women, and let me tell you something, women of all races are affected by this. It's not just Black women, even though this was a Black woman. I'm sure you guys may have seen it in the media, but it's all women. It's crazy. This story is beyond crazy to me, though. Beyond crazy. It's a lot of people in this story that is questionable to me. I just don't really get this. But let's watch because this is crazy. Hold on for a second. Let me get this set up right.
Seen every kind of murder you could imagine. Name a location, a victim, a motive, a suspect, a weapon. I've covered 10 of them. But never a woman killed on a conjugal visit to a husband. A husband who's serving 4 life sentences for murder. That one is a first for me.
Yeah, it's the first for me too, because I can't even understand for the life of me why a woman, and she was a hairstylist. That was another thing that stuck out for me, that she was a hairstylist. She was a colleague, and I just found that to be insane that this successful hairstylist felt the need, in an effort to find love, to marry this man that is on, has 4 consecutive life sentences. He's never getting out. Like, what are you thinking? Like this, I couldn't understand this at all.
Anyway, still, if any inmate would strangle a loving and trusting and clearly devoted spouse, David Brinson is a pretty likely candidate. Back in 1990, Brinson stormed into a Los Angeles apartment aiming to rob a retired tavern owner who he thought was a drug dealer. But alas, there were no drugs. There were no big wads of cash, just 4 men sitting there watching a basketball game. So David Brinson made a plan. He forced all 4 of those men to the floor and he shot them one by one in the backs of their heads.
Now, I'm sorry, this lady is no longer with us, and I feel bad for judging, but I'm trying to help other women that are considering this path, okay? What in the world would make you want to be with a man that committed a violent murder like that? You understand? I don't know why women think you're going to save somebody like that. Like, she must have really thought that she could save him. I would love to know what he told her, and he must have had some game out of this world to make this woman marry somebody with 4 consecutive life sentences that's never, ever getting out of prison. I would love to know how that all went down.
Also known as execution style. David Brinson was convicted of that, and he was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms with no possibility of parole. And at some point, while David Brinson was marking off
4 life sentences with no possibility of parole, and you want to marry somebody like this. Now, this story gets even more crazy with the bad choices that people made, this woman made and her family made. It's insane to me. I can't believe that this happened.
Off those long days at the Mule Creek State Prison in California, he connected with Stephanie Dowells on the outside. Stephanie was known to her family as Stevie, and she was a successful salon owner, a mother of 2, and a grandmother of 6. Stevie believed that she was helping inmate Brinson.
Listen, let me tell you something. In the research that I've done and knowing people that have had, boyfriends and go to jail and stuff like that, I'm telling you, it doesn't work out good. Never. It never does. They're always going to come out and cheat on you. You're going to find out that they had some gay lover in there, or or they're violent or whatever. It's a lot of mental disturbances with somebody, especially if they've been in there for a long time. Y'all got to stop playing with me, please. You deserve better than this. And to me, if you think that this is all you can get is a man that's never getting out of prison, somebody on death row that's crazy and violent, you really need to go get psychiatric help, or you need to do something, because that is not normal. And you do not know your worth, and you do not understand your value. And now look, this man had no value for this woman, and she's dead now. You understand? Had she had knew her self-worth, she would have never been in that predicament in the first place. And this is where we have to be honest, ladies, is that, like I said, there's low self-esteem and there's no self-esteem. You should not possess either. Know your worth, and you would never settle for no shit like this.
Find redemption, thereby making him a better man. And soon she married him. Not long after that, the state of California allowed her to be alone with him during something commonly known as the conjugal visit. Nowadays, there are only 4 states that.
Now, if a red flag don't fly off for you, that you have a man that's been in prison for umpteen years and he's never getting out, and he wants to marry you to have conjugal visits with you. I mean, come on. I mean, like that. I mean, forgive me if I'm seeming insensitive or whatever to this woman, but I'm sorry. Y'all cannot go this route. You have to know your value. You cannot throw yourself out there like that for somebody like this. This is crazy.
That allow conjugal visits. Bet you didn't know that. California.
She said that there's only 4 states left to give conjugal visits, and California is one of them. Not to mention that they're one of the most violent, have one of the most violent prisoners in America too. So why on earth would these people get conjugal visits? I don't understand the states that are left that are doing this. I just don't get it.
It is one of them. Inmates with good behavior can earn what are called family visits that take place in a.
That's what I don't understand. What do you mean about good behavior? How do you ever earn good behavior when you murder 4 people in cold blood execution style, and they were completely innocent and were not who you thought they were? How are you ever going to have good behavior for something like that? I just feel like somebody like that should get no privileges. That's crazy. There's no redemption for that. I'm sorry.
Apartment-like facilities on the prison grounds. And those visits can last up to 40 hours. That also surprised me. Stevie and David, they were on a conjugal visit last November 13th when David picked up the phone and told the officers that his wife had passed out. The paramedics tried to revive her, but less than an hour later, Stevie was dead.
Look at this beautiful woman. And her life was taken by a person that is a murderer. The odds are that, the murderer has a potential to harm you if they killed four people, and, the courts decided that they don't ever have a right to walk the streets again, and you're going to go into jail with them. That is the devil right there. I'm sorry. That is the devil. You need to rebuke it. You need to, pray for discernment, that you learn your worth and value, because you are worth more than going to prison to see somebody that deserves to be in there. This is crazy to me.
4 months, her family was led to believe that Stevie died of natural causes. But then the coroner determined something else. Coroner determined that Stevie was strangled. apparently by the man she married and conjugally visited.
I don't care what nobody said. That would have been the first thing I would have thought, that he killed her. It wouldn't have took months for me, because that would have been the first thing to come to my mind, that he killed her. So why did it take so long for them to come to this obvious conclusion?
At the prison. While Stevie's last visit on November 13th seemed to be the final chapter for her, we are now learning some new details. David Brinson had apparently engaged in several conjugal visits with Stevie, including one in which her 3-year-old grandson was present.
Now, are you sitting down? Can you believe that this woman took her baby to this conjugal visit? Now, and I believe she took him more than one time. So, I don't know. And then you're taking your grandchild to a prison with a serial killer, a multiple killer, murderer, you know what I'm saying, that murdered 4 innocent people in cold blood, and you're going to take your grandbaby to a prison to spend 40 hours in a room with somebody like that. Now, these people lack discernment completely. And whoever's child that was, the mother of that child lacks discernment too. Is no way I'm taking a child to a prison. I'm sorry, especially to stay in a room with a convicted murderer, a 4-time convicted murderer with 4 consecutive life sentences, with a baby for 40 hours. That, to me, just one flew over the cuckoo's nest, as far as I'm concerned. I'm sorry this lady lost her life, but maybe, this baby dodged the bullet, because she took the baby more times than one. And maybe that baby would have been hurt if, she took the baby again. I don't know. But this is just a crazy story. I couldn't believe this story. I had to come on here with this.
Let that sink in for a hot minute. He's a multiple murderer with a wife and grandson on the premises.
How can the prison system allow somebody like this, let alone to have a conjugal visit with a woman? How on earth would they allow somebody like this to have a conjugal visit with a man that is with a baby, with a man with 4 consecutive life sentences? I feel that there's no way a child should go to a prison at all, really, but definitely not for nothing like this. This is crazy to me.
We've also learned that Brinson attempted to take his own life back in July and failed, and yet was still allowed his visits with Stevie afterwards. As of yet, no charges, additional, I should say, have been filed against Brinson. DA says he's still waiting for a full report from the prison. But Stevie's family is heartbroken. They want justice, not to mention answers. They want answers. Why are murderers with multiple victims being allowed these family visits? Why did it take 4 months to classify Stevie's death as a homicide?
To me, 4 months is a really long time. And you know why it probably took so long? Because the prison knew that they were wrong and that this was stupid. And they probably had to figure out how they're going to put this all together, But I mean, they need to stop conjugal visits, because this is the second woman to be killed at that same prison on a conjugal visit. These dudes are crazy. Learn from these ladies' mistakes, please. I don't know. I'm sorry. I want to say so much, but I don't want to insult, this woman's legacy or anything like that. And I don't want to, seem insensitive to women that have men in prison and stuff like that or whatever. But I'm sorry. This is ridiculous.
And how many more times will prison officials let this kind of thing happen? Because I hope you have a drink, because this story is about to take a turn sideways. Stevie was not the only woman killed on a conjugal visit at the Mule Creek State Prison. Also last year, on July 1st, Tanya Thomas
just a year
was
ago
allegedly killed by her domestic partner during her visit to the prison. A partner of hers, Anthony Curry, is a convicted carjacker and attempted murderer, and his case just went to the DA in December. I'm joined now by Stevie Dell's daughter, Natalie Jimenez. Natalie, thank you so much for being with me, and I'm so sorry for what you and your family are going through, especially just how complicated it seems and the lack of answers. How did you first find out about this, and where do things stand today?
We found out Wednesday morning, November 13th. We got the phone call that She was found passed out, and they weren't able to resuscitate her. About 2 weeks
Did they say
later, we
anything
got
more about it? Did
What does a man that has 4 consecutive life sentences have to lose for killing her? Nothing. Nothing. I would not give a person like this the time of day. I don't understand this mentality.
no,
before we go further, did they say anything about being passed out? Did they say she'd hit her head, or that she appeared to have a seizure, or anything else that was informative other than just passed out?
no, no. When David called, he called me. He said when he woke up to go to the restroom, he found her passed out. When he went to the restroom and came back,
Beautiful woman.
he
That's
found her
crazy.
passed out. But it's like, how did you not see her passed out before you went to the restroom? Um, I also asked, what time did she go to sleep? He gave me about 2, 3 different times. Every time
They know good and damn well he killed that woman. I don't know why they dragged that out for so long. I guess they were wishing on a star that something else happened so the prison wouldn't look bad. They know good and well what happened.
I asked him to repeat the story to me, he probably changed it about 4 to 5 times.
So
So
what happened? Like, why did it take 4 months for them to finally come up with strangulation? I mean, 4 months seems an awfully long time to come up with something other than passed out, something as serious as strangulation. And 4 months seems a long time to let you
Yes,
and your
it
family
does.
know that.
it is. It is. 4 months. I honestly,
And let me just say this. This woman is beautiful. I'm telling you. This is why I say that we need to learn to elevate our frequencies, okay? Because this woman is beautiful. Excuse me, somebody's calling me. Sorry. This woman is beautiful, and look at her body. She looks beautiful. You know, anybody would want to be with a woman that looks like this, but when you have a low frequency, you're going to draw into you somebody on a low frequency. This is my point. This is how she got drawn to somebody like this, because she doesn't know her worth. You understand? If you don't know your worth, you're on a low frequency, you're going to be surrounded by people on a low frequency. Y'all should be horrified if somebody like this accost you or try to talk to you, because you know that you are on the low frequency and you need to elevate your frequency right away to get rid of these people out of your frequency. I'm telling you, that's how it works.
I honestly think they were trying to sweep it under. It was a
Exactly.
little short
Yep.
after, we had help from a forensic person, and when he seen the body, he said there was evidence of abuse, so to do a private autopsy. So I really do think the prison was trying to go around it,
I
and they
agree.
found out that we were doing a private autopsy, and they just decided to tell us. But 4 months is still a lot. I think they knew sooner, and they could have told us sooner.
That person wanted to see if her family was going to make us think about it or just accept what they're saying, that she passed out, and not really, try to do any independent research or whatever to find out what happened. And like she said, once they found that out, they were like, well, we might as well, tell the truth on this, because it's going to get found out. That's what that was. Because I'm sure people die in prison and under, questionable circumstances all the time, and the family don't fight, and then nothing happens, and the prison's like, okay, well, they don't care, we ain't gonna care, and we're gonna keep this under wraps. So I feel like it's a case of that.
I honestly feel like they were just trying to find a way to go around it.
What did you know about David Brinson? And were you ever concerned about Stevie going inside the prison walls to spend time alone with him in an enclosed space that's unmonitored?
Now listen to this. None of the people involved in this situation have discernment. None of them know their value. It would be no freaking way I would allow somebody to take my child into a prison on a conjugal visit with a, quadruple murderer. There's no way. So this woman doesn't have no discernment either. I'm sorry.
I mean, speaking to him, it was, you wouldn't think too much of it.
Child,
it
please.
seemed like he was
Now she's struggling on what to say because she know that she's a damn fool for letting her baby and letting her mother think it's okay to go to a prison to go visit a murderer with 4 consecutive life sentences that execution style murder some innocent men. She sounds crazy, and she know it's going to sound crazy.
Trying to get better. He was in school. He knew I was doing treatments. I was doing chemo treatments and things like that. So he would call me, and he would do like prayers before me going to my treatments. And, he would engage a lot. Well, try to engage a lot. A lot of the family wasn't a big fan of him just because he was in prison. They didn't.
That part of the family had discernment, and that part of the family has sense, okay? Because nobody in their right mind is going to want their mother with a 4-time murdering, 4 consecutive life sentences prisoner that ain't never getting out of prison and having conjugal visits in a prison with a man for 40 hours, and then you give her your baby. Now all 3 are crazy to me.
And nobody really knew what he was in prison for. So
nobody knew what he was in prison for. Really, nobody knew. That's interesting.
And
just everything coming out.
That's crazy.
I was going to say, what do you make of the fact that July 1st, this had happened to Tanya Thomas? She was allegedly killed by her domestic partner. It's 2 of these in 1 year. What are your thoughts about that?
No, I feel like they should have stopped conjugal visit when it happened to Tanya.
Listen, there would be no conjugal visits if women knew their worth and would not go and marry a man in prison like that. I could see if somebody's in there, they're selling drugs or something, and it's some short little sentence for a year or something like that. But like somebody that's doing hard time for decades and stuff like that, why would you want to marry somebody like that? You understand? And depending on the crime that somebody committed, I don't give a damn if it's your husband. If your husband killed 4 people and or even killed 1 person, why would you stay with somebody like that? You have no sense of value riding with somebody like that. I could see if you're riding with somebody named Martin Luther King and they getting locked up and they're innocent or something like that, or you feel they're being railroaded, that's different. But somebody that you know is a criminal, move on. I'm sorry. That's crazy. Let some other woman deal with him in 10 years or 20 years when he get out of prison. That's just, to me, that means you have no self-worth, that you feel that, and you're on such a low frequency that you're drawn to the lowest of the low. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it again. If somebody like that comes to you, let me tell you, that means that you're on a low vibration. You need to raise your vibration. Don't talk to that person and just try to elevate your frequency. And I guarantee you will not give that person the time of day after you realize your value. I'm sorry. We've all been there. I've never been on a low enough frequency to want somebody in fucking prison. I'm sorry. You understand? I've choose wrong before, but not to that magnitude. I'm sorry. You understand? Come on, ladies. Do better. Do better, because look at these 2 women. They are dead. I'm telling you. And then we're not even talking about how many men get women while they're in prison and come out and kill them. We're just talking about these women that were killed on a conjugal visit. Listen.
Anya.
Oh my God.
They should have definitely stopped it. And even with David trying to commit suicide, he shouldn't have no type of visitation after that attempt.
Now, okay. You talking about a man that killed 4 people, okay? He has 4 consecutive life sentences, and he tried to kill himself, and they allowed him a conjugal visit with a baby?
Are you and your family planning to sue the prison based on the fact that there'd been a death like this in July, and that, your mom was murdered in November?
Yes, definitely. We do want justice for my mom. Definitely for CDRC to change their policies and be more involved with the civilians instead of the inmates. Just like inmates have to check in 4 times out of the night, they should at least check on civilians 2 to 3 times a day or in the night, whatever the case is. But
No, how about this? If you can't guarantee safety of a civilian on a jail, on a prison, then you shouldn't go. You shouldn't go. There is no reform. I'm telling you, ladies, young girls, and whomever is talking to somebody in prison, run for your life. And then elevate your frequency. Do all the work that you need to do to elevate your frequency so that you can attract a better person, please.
yes, we do. We do plan on going after the prison, after CDRC.
Did Natalie ever tell you and the family about these visits and the security? Was there a panic button? Was there some means of communication for an outsider being brought into the inside to spend upwards of 40 hours fairly unmonitored? What kind of security systems were in place? Did she ever describe it?
No. No security really in place.
Now, this is how dumb this girl is, okay? Because you mean to tell me you gave your baby to your mother or whatever to take to a jail to stay for 40 hours with somebody that you don't know why they're in there. You don't know what kind of safety measures are being taken for your baby while they're there for 40 hours. I'm sorry. These people, I'm sorry, but everybody's stupid in this case. I'm sorry. The only person that wasn't stupid was the inmate because he won. He got the conjugal visits. He didn't have nothing to lose in murdering this woman. He doesn't give a damn. You know what I mean? And he's the winner because nothing's changing for him. He's still, they're going to add a 5th life sentence to what he has already? I mean, come on. This is crazy. This is just crazy to me.
I mean, when she gets there, they take away all her personal belongings, meaning like her purse, her wallet, her cell phone. So she really just goes in there with the clothes that she brought. So you just go in there, and the only one that does a check-in is the inmate. They do a check-in 4 times out of the night just to make sure they're in the room.
But there's nothing for the visitor who may be in a dangerous situation to communicate to guards, I need help.
Here's an idea. Don't visit. That's the way that you ensure your safety, is don't visit a murderer in prison.
Help inside this room or in this apartment.
No, just the phone. Just the phone where the inmates have to check in. But either
I have to ask you this, Natalie, Natalie, sorry to interrupt. Did your mom ever say that there were any red flags at all? I mean, she brought this 3-year-old, right? I think it was a 3-year-old on one of the visits. Did she ever feel there was any risk at all of having these visits?
Yeah, that was actually my son she would take.
Oh, my God.
No. And it just makes you think, like, what if he was in that visit with her?
No, it doesn't make you think because you let your child go. You understand? I would have thought about that for my child. I would not let my child go to no prison. I wouldn't give a damn if it was his own father. My child is not going to prison and going through searches and all this and this and that. You understand? You should have thought about that before you did what you did to get in there. Unless I felt that, he was innocent. And I still probably wouldn't want my children to go through that. I went and visit people in jail. It's not a great experience for the people that go there. You have to get searched and stuff. One time I had an underwire bra. They made me go in the bathroom, take my bra off, come out braless, and this woman gonna check me, and I gotta go back in and put the bra. It was crazy. I said, I'm never doing this ever again. You know what I mean? My friend's mother had him very late in life, and she was elderly, and he begged us to bring his mother or whatever. And she lived in another state. We did it, but I will never do that again. We went to Sing Sing. But I would never put my child through no shit like that. And this is a 3-year-old, so they have a bit of an awareness. Where the hell did they sleep in a bed with this lady? And oh my God, it's just
this time
I can't even process.
Maybe he would have hurt my son as well. It just makes you think all kinds of things.
It makes her think now that
no
her
red
mother's
flags.
dead.
The 2 visits that they went on.
Wait a minute. She just said that they went on 2 visits, so you didn't have discernment 2 times. Let me tell you something. So you would have kept letting your child go back and go back and go back, unless your mother was murdered. That's crazy.
She said, and he also said that he was grateful to, have spent time with my son, and that was kind of a connection for him of the outside world, and he was really happy when he spent those 3-4 days with my son.
Oh my God, I can't.
Well, I am so relieved to hear that your son is okay, and that it was on a different visit.
Maybe
But
he
my
wouldn't have been
God,
okay
I'm
if
so
this didn't
sorry,
happen.
Natalie, that
I hate to say
you've lost
that.
your mom in this way. Please keep us informed.
Because clearly she would have kept letting the child keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Wow.
About what happens next in your process. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
So many questions
Yes,
about
there
that
are.
case, about the other case, about
Yes, there are.
conjugal visits in general.